Yeah, what's your take, Elon? Because you know,
What's your take on the suicide of the West?
yeah. What's
I'm
going
very
on?
worried about it.
Yeah.
I'm very worried about it. I think let's just say that the actions of the West are indistinguishable from suicide. So, but and look, at least in America, there's generally a sense of optimism. But when's the last time you talked to someone from Europe who lives in Europe who's optimistic?
Not for a while. Yeah. Decades.
Like even one? It's rare. So I think unless people have a sense of optimism and purpose about the future, suicide might be just what happens.
The bottom line is none of these countries can survive if they don't sell to the United States. And when they sell to the United States their exports, they're like vampires sucking our blood dry with their unfair trade practices. So, look, let's see what happens, but I don't see how the BRIC alliance stays together since historically they all hate each other and kill each other.
Well, hello, that's me again. Today is September 10th, 2025. It is Wednesday. And what you see in the beginning, I'll elaborate on this a little bit later in this video. But yeah, okay, I know everybody waits from me my kind of assessment, and I understand it's normal. And this is the thing which constantly drives me crazy, because instead of developing some kind of the course into the strategy and military science, I constantly have to do what I am abhorring of doing, which is, of course, political commentary. And so we start with this. Obviously, everybody talks about it. Before we go to even discussing what Israel does, the state terrorism, but let's go with the Polish issue, so to speak. And make no mistake, I have many Polish friends, wonderful people, and they are very close culturally to me because they are Slavs, and despite the fact that many of them are from the Catholic background, I mean, I am from altogether, atheistic background, we always have a lot of things in common. But there is no denial that the Polish elites are completely, it's not just Russophobic, they hate Russians, you know what, viscerally. So, and here we are. Now, allegedly Russian drones attack Poland. It's of course complete baloney. It's obviously false flag, but let's take a look at essentially what do we have. We have this thing called Gerbera. This is so far the only thing which have been presented by Poland, which has any kind of the real relation to alleged attacks, which they were no attacks. And this Gerbera, first, it's the situation with this Gerbera drone is that, first, it's not combat drone, it's essentially decoy. And how the heck this decoy, which is fairly short range, well, it's middle-range drone, which is used as decoy. It doesn't carry any explosives, and it used, of course, to overload the air defense. How did Poland miss whatever 19 they claimed, then they claim 7, what have you, and evidently, it's obviously one of those decoys which have been basically picked up by Ukrainian side and then delivered to Poland. And this is not the first time actually Poland does this. What they do, they invoked Article 4. Well, what is Article 4 of NATO? So, well, here is what New York Times reports, and Poland has invoked NATO's Article 4. What comes next? Well, I can tell you what comes next. Nothing. Article 4 allows member states to start a formal discussion within the alliance about the threats to their security. It does not commit the alliance to military action. Yeah, and Poland was invoking this article, especially from the start of SMO, a special military operation, for many times. So did Turkey since 2003. very many times. I don't remember, dozen at least. So yeah, it's like, oh my God, we got attacked, and then everybody gets together to discuss this within the framework of Article 4, if they can invoke Article 5, which would require, joint effort of defending something in NATO, and then, what, as always, hot air. And again, NATO itself, Poland, let's be honest, and again, I understand, if Russians would have wanted to really attack Poland, believe me, they wouldn't have no time to invoke Article 4, and probably would go for the Article 5 if they would survive by the time they would invoke it. But this is what we have. We have this whole hysteria, supported in a large degree, especially by British media and American media, obviously, but at least even New York Times wants to give here a little bit of spread on how you have to approach this. So what can I say? If Poland is that's Poland. I'm sorry, guys. This is the way it is. And for those people who do not understand how present NATO operates, I'll tell you, it's actually their paper tiger, so-called military alliance. Russians don't give a flying coitus about what they think and how they think, because Russians obviously never tried to attack anybody in NATO. Here it is. Russian Ministry of Defense rejects Poland drone claims. Warsaw has said several UAVs crossed into the airspace, with some later shot down. And they say, well, Russians are very prudent in what they say. They are always calm, diplomatic, and they say there were no targets designated on Polish territory, the ministry stressed. The targets attacked during overnight strikes included multiple military industrial facilities across western Ukraine, the ministry revealed. Namely, the Russian military scored hits on a tank and aircraft plant located in the city of Lvov, as well as other installations in Ivano-Frankovsk, Khmelnytsky, Zhytomyr regions. And so, it reeks of the false flag. And why it reeks of the false flag, it is very clear. Well, because there are some things such as J.D. Vance stated today, and if you want to go listen to it, and he talks about the fact that once the settlement in Ukraine is reached, which it will be reached one way or another, Russians never said it will not be reached, they just said that it depends on what method the combined West wants to choose to settle it, diplomatic or military. One way or another it will be reached. And J.D. Vance stated that, oh my God, we have so much business to do with Russia. Sure, I'm on record for years on that issue. And so what do we have now after we kind of, reviewed this whole thing with the Poland? Let me demonstrate to you. This is how it looks. This is how false flag, and this is how the lies of the which emanate from Europe non-stop. And I want to stress again, average Euro or American journal is a war criminal, supporter of terrorism, and so there are no humanity or honor among them. They are the scam of the earth, all of them, practically. And so when you think that why they constantly, spew Ukrainian propaganda, here's the demonstration to you. This is famous lament about this, oh my God, Russians hit somehow their government building in Kiev. Russians never really targeted it, and what you can see here is what is happening all the time, including in relation to Poland, including famous Polish tractor, if you might remember. And so what happens here, you have a KH-101X or Ha-101 cruise missile launched from one of the strategic bombers, calmly flying over the government building, not hitting it because Russians don't target it. And so, but what you see in the background, you immediately see the small explosion, which of course is from the famous Patriot PAC-3 missiles, which cannot catch anything. And that's exactly what, if Poland wants to continue to also prove that NATO air defense is, it's a joke. So the same is here. Guess what they do? They go out, the Ukrainians, and they say that, oh, my Russians hit it with the Iskander missile. Let me tell you, if the 500 kilogram, which is half-ton warhead of the Iskander would explode, the half of the building would collapse, and there would have been like 3 floors completely demolished there. No, it's a small explosion of the small warhead of the air defense missile, which cannot catch the subsonic, albeit stealthy and very efficient Russian very long-range cruise missile. And so as the result, what do? Exactly. The whole Western media go bananas, repeating lie after lie after lie, because anybody who sits as the head in Associated Press, Reuters, New York Times, let alone all of them, all without exception of the British media, they are war criminals, they are warmongers, and they do what any Goebbelsonian scumbags would do. They basically push their military propaganda without understanding what it can result in. And it can result in that they will disappear together with everything that what they love in the... I'm not even sure that those people have any kind of the normal human qualities in them, but if it comes down and they succeed in pushing some kind of the conflagration between Russia and NATO, they will be dead. Simple as that. But you cannot explain them because they are morons. And so what do we have then? And it's they continue to obviously push all kinds of things towards the war, but Russians are responsible people. They will not allow this. But what we have here is also the situation with Qatar. And as our good friend Larry correctly states, in terms of the, just go to Larry's basically blog, and he explains that it is also the classic, it is absolutely classic false flag by the United States, because obviously Trump, oh my God, this is, what kind of children believe that? Trump condemns Israeli attack on Qatar. The strike on the closest U.S. ally was Israel's unilateral decision. So, well, Israel showed exactly with what member the mouths of the, what people in Washington are filled in 24/7, because obviously if Israel decides to attack the United States ally without telling United States, well, what can I say? I mean, the United States doesn't have any sovereignty, and yeah, Israel just humiliates Trump, and well, Trump is the puppet of Netanyahu. And so, but there is one problem, of course, because it is such a BS. It's a classic Trump crap. I mean, it's a classic, childish, high school, well, more like middle school play for whatever. And so, what do they do here? Oh yeah, they actually refuel Israeli aircraft by American flying tankers. So, as you can see yourself, Mr. Trump didn't know about it. President Donald Trump has criticized Israel airstrike on Hamas compound in Doha, stressing that the decision to carry out the operation inside Qatar was made unilaterally by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and not by Washington. Yeah, right. So, and obviously the fact that actually from there were tankers which took off from the Al Udeid base, air base in Qatar, I mean, to refuel Israeli airplanes, that tells you everything you need to know, right? That United States didn't know about it. United States is complicit now in the state terrorism, essentially. And, well, Israel, we know, it's a rabid dog now, essentially. They do whatever they want to in the Middle East, because they know Arab world is utterly corrupt, it's utterly cowardly, and will do nothing, and absolutely nothing. And so, yeah, Qatar can go and, pretend that they matter or they will make those statements and things like that. They did nothing to defend themselves, which, by the way, tells you pretty much everything you need to know also about all those wonderful air defense systems, which most likely have been turned off. Because, I don't know, if you have air defense systems, usually you create some kind of the radar field. It's very easy to create over Qatar, which is minuscule state, which is smaller than some cities in the world. And so you can cover it pretty much 24/7. But evidently those patriots somehow didn't detect anything, and they couldn't shoot anything. So this is pathetic, and this tells you everything you need to know what Israel will continue to do with the Arab world. It will continue to humiliate themselves until it collapses itself, because obviously the situation in Israel is also rather desperate, let me put it this way. But as you can see yourself, we can also thank all those 57 or whatever the million of the Christians United for Israel. And these are the people who populate the United States. They're a huge election bloc for the GOP primarily, and they are the ones who drive together with AIPAC and all other Israeli NGOs in the United States, the United States foreign policy agenda towards Middle East, and as the result, the United States is complicit in the genocide in Gaza and things of this nature. But what can I say? We have the greatest president in the White House. So now, going back to what we actually talked in the beginning, when you have the discussion of people like Navarro and Elon Musk, I don't take him seriously. Pardon my French. There will be many fanboys, I'm sure, and the guys who are very busy masturbating to Tesla cars, which is one of the biggest technological frauds in history of the humanity. But sure, there are all kinds of the conspicuous consumption and virtue signaling people. But in this particular case, Elon does make sense. I mean, he is the snake oil peddler, but, and again, anybody who begin to tell me about something, SpaceX and anything, good Lord, please, just go and, try to preach this gospel somewhere among the people with degrees in journalism and philology. So, but the point is, he is absolutely correct. Europe is done. It's suicide, and pretty much what I discussed with you this first half of this video is one of the indication. But then, of course, we have, as you saw yourself, Mr. Navarro. The guy is a complete moron. He doesn't understand the first thing about economy. And now going back to our good friend Larry, we can, you go to Larry's blog, wonderful blog, and here's Larry, who talks about 2 days ago that Trump's economic team pursues the chimera of collapsing the Russian economy. And he correctly states that, I don't know, your Secretary of the Treasury, Mr. Scott Bessent, and Mr. Navarro is pretty much the same thing. But I'm told by people who worked with him on Wall Street that he's a really smart guy. But based on his most recent claim over the weekend that he believes a new round of sanctions, which includes shutting off the flow of Russian oil and natural gas to China and India, will collapse the Russian economy. Bessent's statement tells me that he understands nothing about the resilience of the Russian economy, nothing about the nature of Russia's bilateral relations with India and China, and not a damn thing about Russia's military-industrial complex. In short, he may be really smart about trading bonds and securities on Wall Street, but he is a dummy when it comes to Russia and its economy. Well, Larry's absolutely nails it here, but they are dummies pretty much across the board. Not only Russia, they do not understand how the world operates. They are, as I already stated, most products of the Ivy League degree mills. They are highly uncultured people. They are not very well read. They know only how to make money. Making money is not economy. Making money is most of the time is speculation and Ponzi schemes. Wall Street is a Ponzi scheme. It's a bubble which nobody takes seriously except for people who are big players there and who rip off the rest of us, So when people think that Bessent or Navarro really understand what they're talking about, they don't. There are no people in Washington, D.C., anywhere near of power, levels of power and influence who have a grasp of what they're dealing with. They are I will quote Maria Zakharova, critically uneducated, and most of them are morons. They have no toolkit, they have no actually courage, intellectual courage, when you have to torture yourself, accepting new facts and working through them. They cannot accept it. They cannot accept reality because they're cowards. And the only thing they know is how to play golf and how to trade bonds, indeed. The rest of it, take any Navarro or Bessonet or anybody and put them in charge of even some kind of the corporate store. They will bankrupt it. They wouldn't understand even how to run the basic retail, let alone to understand how the military-industrial complex of Russia operates and what Russian economy is. And it is gigantic, but what can I say? So, Trump continues to want EU to slap India and China with 100% tariffs. Washington would mirror any penalties imposed by Brussels, a US official has said. So that's Financial Times reporting that, and as one US official said, Washington was ready to go right now, but we are only going to do this if our European partners step up with us. So what can I say? As Elon correctly states, I mean, Europeans already committed suicide. Europe is done. It's just a matter of how fast it will completely decompose into the separate states, and those states will fracture and decompose like France. France is done as a nation. No. Make no mistake. I'm not talking about the fall of the Bayrou government. Doesn't matter. French always love their governments to fall. Yeah, just look at this interwar period from between World War I and World War II. How many years do we have there, remember? So, well, they had like something like 30 governments. You can look it up, or 29 governments fall. They just cannot run the country anymore, the France. I mean, they lost the best and the brightest and courageous in the World War I. They did sustain significant losses, and as a result, you have the globally shills, people who have no loyalty to France, and as a result, they kill themselves. They will continue to elect the same garbage. French didn't learn a thing, and whatever. So, and their army and intel services, they're so corrupted and so pathetic that they will not stop the disintegration of the country. They do not have people the scale of Charles de Gaulle. In the related news, the grandson of Charles de Gaulle and his family asked for the residence and the essentially political asylum. It's not stated like this, but yes, they're applying for the Russian citizenship. And he wants to open the French-Russian museum in Moscow. And I'm pretty sure the figure of this scale, and Charles de Gaulle has the monuments erected for him in Russia. They will have very little trouble obtaining Russian citizenship. And so, what can I say? That's pretty much everything you need to know. They will fracture. France is a dead man walking, and as I already stated, some people say 2050. That's me. Others say 2040. Even earlier than that France will disintegrate as the country because it's not governable. In fact, is for globalist criminals and these creeps like this. This is the World Economic Forum. This is, I want to get you back to this wonderful article by the American Conservative, actually. And so they talk about that elites, it was written 5 years ago that our elites couldn't reset a whole outlet, let alone the global economy. The Great Reset sounds sinister, but it's less Marxist conspiracy than dreary board game for the wealthy and powerful. And it was 5 years ago, and that's the whole point. I mean, look at this moron. I mean, the Schwab and all those people, all those, those poster boys like Bezos, like, what's his name, Microsoft dude, Bill Gates and all that. You think so? They are that smart? They are cunning. They are very narrow-minded. They know how to make money or produce a specific product. Of course, when you look attentively at how this, oh my God, on his own guy like Bill Gates, with his parents being the big honchos in the huge corporate business like IBM's, sure, poor boy just worked out of the garage. It's the BS which is very well sold to all kinds of the hoi polloi who do not understand what they are dealing with. But those people are not that bright. And when you look at actually what they can do, they indeed cannot. They do not understand how the world works. And as the result, the whole idea of this, reset, the whole idea of this new world order is done. It's over. It's completely buried under the, fragments or whatever the edifice they wanted to erect. And only morons believe that because, for example, Bill Gates has some zeros to his account, virtual account, that he has that much money. I have a bridge to sell you. Reality is much more pathetic and much more actually down to earth. But yeah, bubbles, that's the whole thing. That's the only thing they can produce. And legerdemain, this financial, trickery, tricksters, So, and as a result, so the special military operation absolutely, completely exposed this as the, pathetic paper tigers and economies which are, I don't even know how to, so we have now this Financial Times, oh my God, this dude, Gideon Rahman, another imbecile from the British media, the creep with all kinds of the degrees in nothing from the degree mills in Oxford and Cambridge. So the dog, he laments that, oh my God, Ukraine is the coalition of the unwilling. If Vladimir Putin wants peace, he has a funny way of showing it. Over the weekend, Russia launched its largest aerial attack on Ukraine since the full-scale invasion. And so the Russian state that they never, deviated from their fundamental, the pivotal demand, to basically achieve all aims of their special military operation. And so he talks about this unwilling. Who are those unwilling? Oh my gosh. So, since it is understood that Russia is unlikely to agree to a negotiated ceasefire, not unlikely, I mean, it's been stated to their faces, there is now talk of creating a de facto ceasefire through an American air shield for Ukraine. Yeah, we know how it works. The air shield will avoid big increase in air defenses that could close the skies to Russian drones, although not to ballistic missiles. The Europeans would contribute partly through naval support that could help to protect Ukrainian airspace. There is discussion of deployment of aircraft carriers, probably from Europe. The guy is a complete moron, and this is the fourth estate, guys. These are the people who actually control the public opinion. These are the people who impose on you every day the streams of the sewer and warmongering and BS, because this Rahman guy, he doesn't understand what he's writing about. He has no clue. Look at his CV. Oh my God, this is a classic. Oh, good Lord, it's just pathetic. So, we have this Gideon Rahman. Look at him. Born in 1963, a British journalist, he became the chief foreign affairs commentator of the Financial Times in July 2006. In 2016, he won Orwell Prize for political journalism. I agree. The guy fits perfectly into the mini-true in the Orwell's actually the classic 1984, because he is a cheap propagandist who has no clue about anything. The only thing those people know is they, rub shoulders with some powerful and, influential people. They get the rumors from them or platitudes, and based on that, having no background in anything. None of them has, including actually military people in Great Britain also. They're not good militarily. So they begin to make all those, so to speak, large generalizations while having not a single understanding what they are talking about. Yeah, and interestingly, they talk about that Gonville and Case College. Okay, whatever, it's Cambridge, it's a bunch of the degree mills where they prepare all this material, basically, or rather excrement, which goes then become, the good old boys and girls who later become the MI6 or what have you, and then some of them who learn how to multiply 2 by 3, they go into the King's College to study war studies, whatever that is, in United Kingdom. But yes, they lament. It's not a coalition of the unwilling. It's coalition of the impotent. United Kingdom militarily is nothing. It doesn't even register. So goes Germany, France, if not for its nuclear very little deterrent, won't matter either. And so when you begin to look at this, and Elon says this, and you have this development of the essentially false flag operations, the only thing they want is some kind of the conflict. What they do not understand, Europe will cease to exist within 20 minutes, period. They will wake up. Russians are very humanitarian people in very, very many respects. They will not bomb necessarily the capitals. They will actually send Mr. Oreshnik and Mr. Zircon to visit those places where those war criminals now today sit, and those cretins from the World Economic Forum and globalists who do not care about Europeans. Europeans for them are nothing, so they're just subjects. They're to be played with and, discard when they don't need it. So when you have those wonderful Oreshniks or Zircons or real extended range Iskanders flying in, it will not be flying against the European people, however treasonous they turned out to be and Russophobic. No, it will be flying against their centers of power. And someday, maybe Londoners or Berliners will wake up and they say, oh my God, we don't have those morons around anymore. Because there will be no Reichstag, there will be no MI6 headquarters, there will be nothing. And they suddenly will say, oh, we can start our life anew from the clean slate, clean sheet. And what can I say? And in conclusion, I wanted to show you something which is that tells you everything you need to know about how complex the world is. Russians now have the school named after their, American hero. Here it is. And this is no less than Airborne Forces Commander, son of CIA Deputy Director, liberated Donbas and died as a hero. Commander of the Airborne Forces Mikhail Teplinsky called the son of CIA Deputy Director Michael Alexander Gloss, who died in the zone of special military operation in Ukraine, a hero. At the ceremony of naming the holders of the Order of Courage, Ivan Kakovin and Gloss, to the Donetsk School number 115, Teplinsky stressed that Gloss died as a hero. The fact that he died as a hero indeed, and like many others he sought to liberate Donbas. He said, noting that Gloss was no different from other paratroopers and performed combat missions on an equal basis with everybody else. And here it is. That's what they stress. The ceremony of naming the school number 115 in Donetsk after Private Michael Gloss and Corporal Ivan Kakovin was held in the participation of the Minister of Education Sergei Kravtsov, the head of the DPR Denis Pushilin, and other officials. A memorial plaque was installed on the facade of the school with the names of the heroes of the special military operation who died while performing combat missions near Chasiv Yar. The minister said that the school itself will undergo a major overhaul, and the museum of the heroes of Kakovin and Gloss will appear. The head of DPR Pushilin, Donetsk People's Republic, noted that such initiatives form a platform for future generations who will be able to draw the right guidelines and choose worthy examples to follow. In April, the media reported the death of the son of CIA Deputy Director Gloss in Ukraine. The CIA confirmed this information. Yes, this is a very interesting world out there, isn't it? You have the kid who dies as a hero and gets awarded the Order of Courage, and he's the son of the Deputy Director of CIA. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And in complete conclusion, so to speak, in the end, for people to understand that world outside is beyond the grasp of people in the White House, such as Navarro or such as Besant. You remember Mr. Z and Mr. Putin, actually the hot mic, they spoke about the immortality or extending dramatically the life of people. Well, here it is. You may not know this, but there is one very interesting news from Russia. Those people who still wondering, those backward Russians, So, as you can see yourself, yesterday, A cancer vaccine developed in Russia is showing real signs of hope. The Federal Medical Biological Agency in Russia says the cancer vaccine called Enteromix is ready to go. It just needed a thumbs up from Russian Ministry of Health before doctors can start using it. This is a big step towards in trying to beat cancer, giving many patients a reason to be hopeful. Depending on the type of the cancer, tests have shown that it can slow down tumor growth and reduce its size by 60% to 80%. Plus, patients in these tests lived longer. And so there, actually, it was the what is called preclinical trial. Now it goes on the clinical trial, which just means pretty much in military language, it is IOC, initial operation capability. And what many people do not understand about this vaccine, it's actually battles the stage 4 metastasized cancer. So, and this is immense achievement. And, well, you know what, indeed, for people who have cancer, this is now a hope that they can be cured, or at least their life extended dramatically longer and with as little pain as possible. So, and this is what I wanted to tell you today about everything, guys. And as always, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. And those who can afford, please support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee too. And have a nice rest of the week, and I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.